Welcome to Two Witness Teaching Program. Two Witness, a Bible teaching program to change and transform people. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Let's dive into it.
The book of Ruth takes place during the time of the Judges, and just 4 short chapters telling a story of a woman's life and the power of redemption. Covers about 11 years, and 10 years are alluded to, and 1 year is the story that we're going to read. Starting in chapter 1, it came to pass in the days when the judges ruled, there was a famine in the land. And a certain man of Bethlehem, Judah, went to sojourn in the country of Moab, he and his wife and his 2 sons. The name of the man was Elimelech, and the name of his wife Naomi, the name of his 2 sons Mahlon and Chilion, Ephrathites of Bethlehem, Judah. And they came into the country of Moab and continued there. This is just setting up the details of the story. Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left and her 2 sons. They took them wives of the women of Moab. The name of the one was Orpah, and the name of the other Ruth, and they dwelled there about 10 years. Mahlon and Chilion died, also both of them, and the woman was left of her 2 sons and her husband. So now she's alone with her 2 daughters-in-law in a foreign land. Verse 6, she arose with her daughters-in-law that she might return from the country of Moab. For she had heard in the country of Moab how that the Lord had visited his people in giving them bread. The famine in Israel had ended. Verse 7, she went forth out of the place where she was, and her 2 daughters-in-law with her, and they went on the way to return to the land of Judah. They were following their mother-in-law as part of the family they had married into. But Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, go, return each to her mother's house. The Lord deal kindly with you, as you have dealt with the dead and with me. The Lord grant you that you may find rest, each of you in the house of her husband. Then she kissed them, and they lifted up their voice and wept. They said to her, surely we will return with thee unto thy people. And Naomi said, turn again, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Are there yet any more sons in my womb, that they may be your husbands? Turn again, my daughters, go your way, for I am too old to have a husband. If I should say I have hope, if I should have a husband also tonight and should bear sons, would you tarry for them till they were grown? Would you stay for them or remain unmarried? Nay, my daughters, for it grieves me much for your sakes that the hand of the Lord is gone out against me. They lifted up their voices and wept. Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, and, it doesn't say here, but Orpah returned home to her family. But Ruth clave unto her. And she said, behold, thy sister-in-law is gone back to her people and unto her gods. Return thou after thy sister-in-law. And Ruth said, entreat me not to leave thee, or to return from following after thee. And this is one of the most beautiful passages we have in the Old Testament. For whither thou goest, I will go, and where thou lodge, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God my God. Where thou diest will I die, and there will I be buried. The Lord do so to me, and more also, if aught or if anything but death part thee and me. So we see a heart of humility and of love, and also we see here a Gentile woman, a stranger, who is willing to leave her heritage, leave her people and her gods to go serve the God of Israel. Verse 18, when she, Naomi, saw that she was steadfastly minded to go with her, she left, speaking unto her. They go back to Bethlehem, and people say, is this Naomi? And she said, call me not Naomi, call me Mara, for the Almighty hath dealt very bitterly with me. I went out full, and the Lord hath brought me home empty again. Verse 22, so Naomi returned, and Ruth the Moabitess, her daughter-in-law, with her, which returned out of the country of Moab. They came to Bethlehem in the beginning of the barley harvest. So this is where we begin basically the last year that we have recorded in this story, and this is where the details take place that we're interested in. Chapter 2, Naomi had a kinsman of her husband's, a mighty man of wealth, of the family of Elimelech, and his name was Boaz. And Ruth the Moabitess said to Naomi, "Let me now go to the field and glean ears of corn after him, in whose sight I should find grace." And she said unto her, "Go, my daughter." And she went and came and gleaned in the field after the reapers. And she happened to light on a part of the field belonging to Boaz, who was of the kindred of Elimelech. Now the laws of reaping are recorded in Leviticus and Deuteronomy, and the laws of reaping say that when you go to harvest your grain or your grapes, here we're talking specifically of grain, the reapers, those who are harvesting, would bind the sheaves, and that would be their harvest from the land. Anything that fell to the ground had to be left for the poor, the fatherless, or the widows, or the strangers to be able to pick up, and that would be provision for them. If something fell to the ground, they were not allowed to pick it up. If they had left a sheaf in the field and had neglected to take it, they couldn't go back for it. They had to leave it. Even the corners of the field, if you had a square field, the corners had to be left unharvested. So there would be grain there that could be gleaned and harvested by the poor. So here Ruth is going out to glean because they just come back from a different country, a different land and peoples, and they need some sustenance. So she goes out to glean, and she ends up in the field of Boaz. Verse 4, "Behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem, and said to the reapers, The Lord be with you. And they answered him, The Lord bless thee." So he expects reapers to be in his field. Well, there are those who are harvesting, but also those who are the poor. And he was very kind toward the poor and those who were there on his land. Then said Boaz unto his servant that was set over the reapers, "Whose damsel is this?" And the servant that was set over the reapers answered and said, "It is the Moabitish damsel that came back with Naomi out of the country of Moab." And she said, "I pray you, let me glean and gather after the reapers among the sheaves." So she came, and has continued even from the morning till now, that she tarried a little in the house. Well, then says Boaz to Ruth, "Hear thou not, my daughter. Go not to glean in another field, neither go from hence, but abide here fast by my maidens. Let thine eyes be on the field that they do reap, and go thou after them. Have I not charged the young men that they shall not touch thee? They won't hinder her from gleaning. And when thou art athirst, go to the vessels, and drink of that which the young men have drawn." She fell on her face, and bowed herself to the ground, and said, "Why have I found grace in thine eyes, that thou should take knowledge of me, seeing I am a stranger?" Stranger meaning she's a Gentile. She's not even one of the people of Israel. So we see here another act of humility, another act of respect and kindness, in that she humbles herself before him and shows her gratefulness. Verse 11, Boaz answered and said to her, "It has been fully showed me all that thou hast done unto my mother-in-law, thy mother-in-law, since the death of your husband, and how you have left your father and mother and the land of your nativity, and art come to a people which you knew not heretofore. The Lord recompense thy work, and a full reward be given thee of the Lord God of Israel, under whose wings thou art come to trust." So very favorable response from Boaz. Well, then she said, "Let me find favor in thy sight, my Lord, for that thou hast comforted me, and for that thou hast spoken friendly unto thine handmaiden, though I be not like unto one of thine handmaidens." And Boaz said to her at mealtime, "Come thou hither and eat of the bread, dip thy morsel in the vinegar." And she sat beside the reapers, and he reached her parched corn, and she did eat, and was sufficed, and left. So pretty good first day of gleaning. She happens to come upon the field that is owned by a kinsman redeemer. And she doesn't even see this coming yet, but all of this is falling into place for this redemption that's going to take place. Verse 15, when she was risen up to glean, Boaz commanded his young men, saying, "Let her glean even among the sheaves, and reproach her not. Let fall also some of the handfuls on purpose for her, drop some extra, and leave them, that she may glean them, and rebuke her not." So she gleaned in the field until evening, and beat out that she had gleaned, and it was about an ephah of barley, or about a bushel basket. That's quite a bit for one day's gleaning, picking up heads of wheat or heads of barley, threshing them out into a form that would be useful, and still having that much after a day's work. Verse 18, she took it up and went into the city, and her mother-in-law saw what she had gleaned. Verse 19, her mother-in-law said to her, "Where have you gleaned today, and where wrougest thou? Blessed be he that did take knowledge of thee." So she knew this was an amazing quantity for one day's gleaning. She showed her mother-in-law with whom she had wrought, and said, "The man's name with whom I wrought today is Boaz." And Naomi said to her daughter-in-law, "Blessed be he of the Lord, who has not left off his kindness to the living and to the dead." And Naomi said to her, "The man is near of kin to us, one of our next kinsmen." And Ruth says, "He said unto me also, Thou shalt keep fast by my young men until they have ended all my harvest." And Naomi said to Ruth her daughter-in-law, "It is good, my daughter, that thou go out with his maidens, that they meet thee not in any other field." So she kept fast by the maidens of Boaz to glean until the end of the barley harvest and of the wheat harvest, and dwelt with her mother-in-law. So we have a passing of time here through two harvests. We're not sure how long this is, but during this time, she would have been under the care of Boaz during the day. He was offering protection, provision for her, and he also would have been observing her, maybe getting to know her a little bit more, seeing her character, how she's out there gleaning to also not only provide for herself, but also for the needs of her mother-in-law. Chapter 3, Naomi, her mother-in-law, said to her, "My daughter, shall I not seek rest for thee, that it may be well with thee?" I need to find a husband for you, because I can't expect you to stay single forever and continue to serve me and provide for me. "Now is not Boaz of our kindred, with whose maidens thou wast? Behold, he winnoweth barley tonight in the threshing floor. Wash thyself therefore, and anoint thee, put thy raiment upon thee, and get thee down to the floor. But make not thyself known unto the man, until he shall have done eating and drinking. And it shall be when he lieth down, that thou shalt mark the place where he shall lie, and thou shalt go in and uncover his feet, and lay thee down, and he will tell thee what thou shalt do." And she said, "All that you sayest unto me, I will do." And this could have been completely new for her. This was a custom of Israel. She may not have understood this custom of the uncovering of the feet, or Boaz says he's going to make himself a covering for her. But she says, "All that you say, I will do." Verse 6, she went down to the floor and did according to all that her mother-in-law bade her. When Boaz had eaten and drunk, and his heart was merry, he went to lie down at the end of the heap of corn. She came softly and uncovered his feet, and lay her down. It came to pass at midnight that the man was afraid and turned himself, and behold, a woman lay at his feet. And he said, "Who art thou?" She answered, "I am Ruth, thy handmaid. Spread therefore thy skirt over thine handmaid, for thou art a near kinsman." A kinsman is one that has the right to redeem, or a kinsman redeemer. When a man would die, his brother would marry his widow, and he would provide seed through her, and through her offspring, there would be an inheritance of his land. So if the widow is taken to wife by the brother of her husband, who's now dead, she bears a son. Her original husband, who is now deceased, all of his land will go to the son that now has been produced by the brother. That's a way that God had provided for his people, so there would continue to be seed. So the line of that man who's now dead would continue, his name would be preserved, and the inheritance would also stay in the family. So Boaz is one that has a right to redeem her and give her that seed. He said, "Blessed be thou of the Lord, my daughter, for thou hast shown more kindness on the latter end than at the beginning, inasmuch as thou followest not young men, whether poor or rich. And now, my daughter, fear not. I will do to thee all that thou requirest, for all the city of my people doth know that you are a virtuous woman." So during these weeks or months of gleaning and living in the city, she had gained a reputation of being a virtuous woman. Verse 12, "Now it is true, I am thy near kinsman. Howbeit there is a kinsman nearer than I." Boaz has already said, "I will do what you require." He's offering to redeem her or to marry her, but he knows according to the law, there's a brother or a male relative that's closer to her deceased husband than he is, and so he has to be very careful how he approaches this. Verse 13, "Tarry this night, it shall be in the morning, that if he will perform unto thee the part of a kinsman, well, let him do the kinsman's part. But if he will not do the part of a kinsman to thee, then will I do the part of a kinsman to thee, as the Lord liveth. Lie down until the morning." She lay at his feet until the morning, and she rose up before one could know another. And he said, "Let it not be known that a woman came to the floor." He had her hold out her veil, and he filled it with grain for her to take to her mother-in-law. Verse 18, Naomi's speaking with Ruth, she said, "Sit still, my daughter, until thou know how the matter will fall. For the man will not be in rest until he have finished the thing this day." And that's very wise. That's good insight into the man's thinking. Truly, he was going to deal with it that very day. It was an important matter, not to be delayed. Chapter 4, Boaz goes to the gate and sat him down there. The gate is where the elders of the city would be sitting, the rulers would be sitting, and we know that he was a man of wealth, so he would be known in the gate. He sat in the gate, and behold, the kinsman of whom Boaz spake of came by, unto whom he said, "Ho, such a one, turn aside, sit down here." And he turned aside and sat down. And he took 10 men of the elders of the city, and he said, "Sit down here." And they sat down. So he's doing everything just right according to the law. He said unto the kinsman, "Naomi, that is come again out of the country of Moab, selleth a parcel of land, which was our brother Elimelech's. And I thought to advertise thee, saying, Buy it before the inhabitants and before the elders of my people. If thou wilt redeem it, redeem it. But if thou wilt not redeem it, then tell me that I may know. For there is none to redeem it besides thee, and I am after thee." And he said, "I will redeem it." So again, it had to be redeemed within the very close family so that the land would stay in the family, because the inheritance was not to be lost. It was not to even be traded with other tribes. People were supposed to marry within their own tribe even, so that the inheritance would stay where it is that God had designated it. Verse 5, Boaz says, "Well, the day that you buy the field of the hand of Naomi, you must also buy Ruth the Moabitess, the wife of the dead, to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance." Very clever. First he pulls him in, offering him the land, and the man says, "Land? Yeah, I'll have more land. But wait a minute, I have to give children to this woman who aren't going to be like my children. They're going to be the ones that inherit this land. I'll buy the land, but I'm not the one inheriting it. It's going to be the inheritance of our sons." The kinsman said, "I cannot redeem it for myself, lest I mar my own inheritance. Redeem thou my right to thyself, for I cannot redeem it." So he wasn't thinking, in a way, how can I serve God? How can I serve my people? How can I raise up offspring in the name of the dead? He's saying, I don't want to mess up what I already have. You do it. So different way of thinking than Boaz. Verse 7, "Now this was the manner in former time in Israel concerning redeeming and concerning changing. For to confirm all things, a man plucked off his shoe and gave it to his neighbor. And this was a testimony in Israel." So to seal the deal, he took off his shoe. 18, the kinsman said to Boaz, "Buy it for yourself," and he drew off his shoe. Boaz said to the elders and to all the people, "You are witnesses this day that I have bought all that was Elimelech's, all that was Chilion's and Mahlon's of the hand of Naomi." So he now is redeeming what had belonged to all those men and redeeming the women in the process. "Moreover, Ruth the Moabitess, the wife of Mahlon, have I purchased to be my wife, to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance, that the name of the dead be not cut off from among his brethren, and from the gate of his place. You are witnesses this day." And all the people that were in the gate and the elders said, "We are witnesses. The Lord make the woman that is come into thine house like Rachel and like Leah, which two did build the house of Israel." They were very fruitful, weren't they? And they and their handmaids brought forth 12 sons that were to bear or bring forth the 12 tribes of Israel. Verse 13, "So Boaz took Ruth, and she was his wife. And when he went in unto her, the Lord gave her conception, and she bare a son. And the woman said to Naomi, Blessed be the Lord, which has not left thee this day without a kinsman, that his name may be famous in Israel. And he shall be unto thee a restorer of thy life, and a nourisher of thine old age. For thy daughter-in-law, which loves thee, is better to thee than 7 sons, has borne him." Naomi took the child and laid it in her bosom and became nurse to it. So God not only provided a way for Naomi to be redeemed in the natural, where she would be provided for, where she would have, she would still remain within the family and even probably on the family's land during her lifetime, but also gave her the joy of inheritance as far as godly seed. And we're going to see even how important that seed becomes. Verse 17, "The women, her neighbors, gave it a name, saying, There is a son born to Naomi. And they called his name Obed. He is the father of Jesse, the father of David." We know that it was through David that the Messiah comes. Jesus Christ was of the tribe of Judah, the family of the line of David. So we see here Ruth and Boaz directly in the line of Christ. Now verse 18, "These are the generations of Pharez." It goes from Pharez, and you'd have to go back to Chronicles to see the genealogies. Pharez, Hezron, Ram, Amminadab, Nahshon, Salmon. Salmon begat Boaz. Boaz begat Obed. Obed begat Jesse, and Jesse begat David. And David will beget Christ. But if you look at Salmon, Boaz's father is the husband to Rahab. Rahab was the harlot that came out of Jericho. Remember, God spared her and her family because she did not report the spies. She hid them. And so God saved them, spared their lives. Rahab goes to live among the Israelites, begins to serve the God of the Israelites, Jehovah. And we see that Rahab becomes the mother of Boaz, who we see is going to be the father eventually of David and then Christ as it goes on down the line. So we see here a story of redemption. We see even a love story we see in this because of the kindness they showed toward each other. And we see a Gentile, 2 Gentile women if you count Rahab, but especially Ruth, a Moabitess, being used as part of God's plan. And we see this book also showing a link here and being a record of how the line of Christ connects between some of these Old Testament characters that we knew from the past and the ones that are coming. So that ends the book of Ruth. Okay, so we're going to start 1 Samuel today, and I really like 1 and 2 Samuel, 1 and 2 Kings, and then 1 and 2 Chronicles, because I believe this is really the meat of Israel's history. We see this is where the time of the judges has ended. Samuel is actually going to be the last judge, and he is going to anoint the first king, King Saul. We're going to go through first Saul, then David, then Solomon. Then the kingdom's going to be divided. The 10 northern tribes become Israel. The 2 southern tribes become Judah, each having their own kings. So when we get through 1st and 2nd Kings, it's really a history of who was ruling over Judah, over Israel, how they interacted with each other and with the nations around them. We're going to see how Israel is going to be judged by God. Assyria comes down, and basically they're dispersed forever, never to come back together again as a kingdom. Judah is going to be taken captive by Babylon, and we know that's the prophecy given in Daniel, where they're promised that they will be given release from their captivity. And 2 Samuel will end with Cyrus, King Cyrus of Persia, making a decree that they could go back and rebuild their temple. And that's a lot of details fast, but we're going to cover it all in these books. You're going to find, because these are the main books of history, this is where the prophets fit in. So when you see, the prophet Jeremiah says this, that's really, if you look at the whole book of Jeremiah, that's when he was prophesying. You can pull the prophets forward and put them into this time. These are the things, the events they were prophesying about. In the very front of your handouts for the Old Testament survey, there's a timeline of the Old Testament history, and it shows where all the prophets fit in. So even though we're doing the history now and the prophets later, they're actually happening at the same time. So I know that helps me have some perspective on what's really happening and how the scripture actually fits together. So again, Samuel and Kings is going to give us in those 4 books sort of a running account of Israel's history. 1st and 2nd Chronicles is going to repeat that whole history in a condensed form, maybe giving some different details. So you can cross-reference some of those to be able to gather more details about the same stories. Do you want me to do this?
Sure.
So, in the book of 1 Samuel, this is going to be a record of God working with Israel through Samuel. After 400 years of judges, he's going to be the last judge. He's a priest, and really the first of the prophets. We're going to find that God had not been working through the prophet. There was no open vision. God was not communicating directly with the people. When Samuel comes on the scene, Scripture says that people recognize that he is a prophet of God, and they actually go to him and submit themselves to his authority because they know that he is speaking the words of God. And we see that Samuel is going to anoint the first king, King Saul. It covers about 115 years from the birth of Samuel to the death of Saul. So 2 Samuel will pick up with David as king. And I think we can just get right into it.
All right. 1 Samuel chapter 1. And now there was a certain man of Ramathaim Zophim of Mount Ephraim, and his name was Elkanah, the son of Jeroham, the son of Elihu, the son of Tohu, the son of Zuph, and Ephrathite. And you can see that my pronunciation hasn't gotten any better while I was away, but we can get through this stuff. It's not too important. And he had 2 wives. The name of the one was Hannah, and the name of the other was Peninnah. And Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children. And this man went up out of his city yearly to worship and to sacrifice unto the Lord of hosts in Shiloh. And that's where the tabernacle went and rested before the temple was built in Jerusalem. The ark was in Shiloh. That's where they had put those things. And the 2 sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, the priests of the Lord, were there. And when the time was that Elkanah offered his sacrifice, he came to Peninnah his wife, and to all her sons and her daughters he gave, portions. But unto Hannah he gave a worthy portion, for he loved Hannah, but the Lord had shut up her womb. verse 6, I'm sorry. And her adversary, and this would be the other wife, Peninnah, provoked her, Hannah, sore, for to make her fret or be irritated, because the Lord had shut up her womb. And as he did so year by year, when she went up to the house of the Lord, she provoked her, the other wife. Therefore it was Hannah that wept and did not eat. Then said Elkanah, her husband, to her, Hannah, why weepest thou? And why eatest thou not? And why is thy heart grieved? Am I not better to thee than 10 sons? So Hannah rose up after they had eaten in Shiloh, and after they had drunk. Now Eli the priest sat upon a seat by the post of the temple of the Lord. And she, Hannah, was in bitterness of soul, and prayed unto the Lord, and wept sore. And she vowed a vow, and said, O Lord of hosts, if thou wilt indeed look upon the affliction of thy handmaid, and remember me, and not forget thine handmaid, but will give unto thine handmaid a man-child, then I will give him unto the Lord all the days of his life, and there shall no razor come upon his head, or he'll be a Nazarite, consecrated unto the Lord. He'll be in service to the Lord. She promises the Lord that. And it came to pass, as she continued praying before the Lord, that Eli marked her mouth. Notice that she was making a prayer. Now Hannah, she spake in her heart, only her lips moved, but her voice was not heard. So she was just mouthing her prayer, but not speaking it out. And Eli noticed that. And Eli thought she had been drunken, and this we can understand, with wine or with alcohol by what follows after this. And Eli said unto her, How long will you be drunken? Put away thy wine from thee. And Hannah answered and said, No, my Lord, I am a woman of sorrowful spirit. I have drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but have poured out my soul before the Lord. Count not thine handmaid for a daughter of Belial. For out of the abundance of my complaint, and this could be meditation or contemplation, the thing that she was concerned about, and grief have I spoken hitherto to the Lord. Then Eli answered and said, Go in peace, and the God of Israel grant thee thy petition that thou hast asked of him. And she said, Let thine handmaid find grace in thy sight. So the woman went her way, and did eat, and her countenance was sad, was no more sad. 19, And they rose up in the morning early, and worshipped before the Lord, and returned, and came to their house in Ramah. And Elkanah knew Hannah, his wife. That's the King James word for having a physical relationship. And the Lord remembered her, and that means the Lord was mindful of her, that she had prayed a prayer, and God wanted to answer her prayer. Wherefore it came to pass, when the time was come, about after Hannah had conceived, that she bare a son, and called his name Samuel, saying, Because I have asked him of the Lord. And that's what Samuel means, asked of God. And the man Elkanah and all his house went up to offer unto the Lord the yearly sacrifice and his vow. But Hannah went not up, for she said unto her husband, I will not go up until the child be weaned, and then I will bring him, that he may appear before the Lord, and there abide forever. And Elkanah, her husband, said unto her, Do what seems thee good. Tarry until thou hast weaned him, only the Lord establish his word. So the woman abode, and gave her son suck until she weaned him. And when she had weaned him, she took him up with her, and 3 bullocks, and 1 ephah of flour, and a bottle of wine, and brought him unto the house of the Lord in Shiloh, and the child was young. And they slew a bullock, and brought the child to Eli. And she said, O my Lord, as thy soul liveth, my Lord, I am the woman that stood by thee here, praying unto the Lord. For this child I prayed, and the Lord has given me my petition which I asked of him. Therefore also I have lent him to the Lord. I give him back to the Lord, as I promised I would do. As long as he liveth, he shall be lent to the Lord. And he worshipped the Lord there. So we go into chapter 2. Hannah prayed and said, My heart rejoiceth in the Lord. She makes some tremendous statements. My horn or place, my power is exalted in the Lord. My mouth is enlarged over my enemies, because I rejoice in thy salvation. There is none holy as the Lord, for there is none besides thee, neither is there any rock or refuge like our God. Talk no more exceedingly proudly. That's men of your own strength and what you can accomplish and do. Let not arrogancy come out of your mouth, for the Lord is a God of knowledge. He sees all things, he hears, he knows, and by him actions are weighed, so he also judges. The bows of mighty men are broken, and they that stumbled are girded with strength. They that were full have hired out themselves for bread, and they that were hungry ceased, so that the barren have borne 7, and she that hath many children is waxed feeble. The Lord killeth, and the Lord maketh alive, or revive. He does those things. He bringeth down to the grave, and bringeth up. The Lord maketh poor, and the Lord maketh rich. He bringeth low, and lifteth up. He raises up the poor out of the dust. He lifteth up the beggar from the dunghill, to set them among princes, and to make them inherit the throne of glory. For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's. He hath set the world upon them, for he's created all things. He will keep the feet of his saints in the way, and the wicked shall be silent in darkness. For by strength, this is man's strength, shall no man prevail against God. The adversaries of the Lord shall be broken to pieces. Out of heaven shall he thunder upon them. The Lord shall judge the ends of the earth, and he shall give strength unto his king, and exalt the horn of his anointed. And Elkanah went to Ramah to his house, and the child did minister unto the Lord before Eli the priest. Now we're going to find out a little bit about Eli's sons. Verse 12. Now the sons of Eli were sons of Belial. And this is exactly what Hannah said she was not a daughter of Belial. They knew not the Lord. And the priest's custom with the people was that when any man offered sacrifice, the priest's servant came while the flesh was in seething, with a flesh hook and 3 teeth in his hand, and he struck it into the pot or kettle or cauldron or pot. All that the flesh hook brought up the priest took for himself. So did in Shiloh unto all the Israelites that came thither. Verse 15, also before they burnt the fat, the priest's servant came and said to the man that sacrificed, Give flesh to roast for the priest, for he will not have sodden flesh or boiled meat of thee, but raw. And if any man said unto him, Let them not fail to burn the fat presently, and then take as much as thy soul desireth, then he would answer, Nay, but thou shalt give it me now, and if not, I will take it by force. Verse 17, Wherefore the sin of the young men was very great before the Lord, for men abhorred the offering of the Lord. But Samuel, verse 18, ministered before the Lord, being a child, girded with a linen ephod. Moreover, his mother made him a little coat, and brought it to him from year to year, when she came up with her husband to offer the yearly sacrifice. And Eli blessed Elkanah and his wife, and said, The Lord give thee seed of this woman for the loan which she lent to the Lord. And they went unto their own home. And the Lord visited Hannah, so that she conceived and bare 3 sons and 2 daughters. So now she has a full family of children. And the child Samuel grew before the Lord. Now Eli was very old, and heard all that his sons did unto all Israel, how they lay with the women that assembled at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. Verse 23, And he said unto them, Why do you such evil things? For I hear of your evil dealings by all this people. Nay, my sons, for it is no good report that I hear. You make the Lord's people to transgress. If one man sin against another, the Lord shall judge him. But if a man sins against the Lord, who shall entreat for him? Notwithstanding, they hearkened not unto the voice of their father, because the Lord would slay them. And the child Samuel grew on, and was in favor both with the Lord and also with men. And there came a man of God unto Eli. Here's an unnamed prophet, we don't know who it was, came to Eli and said unto him, Thus saith the Lord, did I plainly appear unto the house of your father, that the father would be Aaron, when they were in Egypt in Pharaoh's house? And did I choose him out of all the tribes of Israel to be my priest, to offer upon my altar, to burn incense, to wear an ephod before me? And did I give unto the house of thy father all the offerings made by fire of the children of Israel, or abundant provision? Didn't I bless your father with all this? Wherefore kick you at my sacrifice and my offering, which I have commanded in my habitation? And honorest thy sons above me, to make yourselves fat with the chiefest of all the offerings of Israel, my people. Verse 30, Wherefore the Lord God of Israel saith, I said indeed that thy house and the house of thy father should walk before me forever. That's time out of mind into the future. That was God's plan. But now, God's making a change. God observes something with Eli, so he's changing. The Lord saith, Be it far from me. I'm altering my plans. For them that honor me will I honor, and they that despise me shall be lightly esteemed. Behold, the days come that I will cut off thine arm and the arm of thy father's house, that there shall not be an old man in thine house. And thou shalt see an enemy or a rival in my habitation, a rival in the temple. I think that's what God's saying. Someone else is going to take your place, Eli, and the place of your sons. And in all the wealth which God shall give Israel, and there shall not be an old man in thy house forever. And the man of thine, whom I shall not cut off from mine altar, shall be to consume thine eyes with tears, and to grieve thine heart, and all the increase of thine house shall die in the flower of their age. Judgment coming to the house of Eli. And this shall be a sign unto thee, that shall come upon thy two sons, on Hophni and Phinehas, in one day they shall die, both of them. And I will raise up me a faithful priest. Now, this is ultimately fulfilled again in Christ, that shall do according to that which is in my heart and in my mind. And I will build him a sure house, and he shall walk before mine anointed forever. And it shall come to pass that every one that is left in thine house shall come and crouch to him for a piece of silver, a morsel of bread, and shall say, Put me, I pray thee, into one of the priest's office, that I may eat a piece of bread. Chapter 3. And the child Samuel ministered unto the Lord before Eli. And the word of the Lord, or a revelation from the Lord, was precious in those days, and there was no open vision. Verse 2, And it came to pass at that time, when Eli was laid down in his place, and that means to rest or to take his sleep, and his eyes began to wax dim, that he could not see. This is kind of an extra bit of information that's inserted here. And ere the lamp of God went out in the temple of the Lord before daybreak, where the ark of God was, and Samuel was laid down to sleep, that the Lord called Samuel, and he answered, Here am I. And he ran unto Eli and said, Here am I, for thou called me. And so Eli said, I called not. Lie down again. And he went and lay down. And the Lord called yet again, Samuel. And Samuel rose and went to Eli and said, Here am I, for thou did call me. And he answered, I called not, my son. Lie down again. Now Samuel did not yet know the Lord, neither was the word of the Lord yet revealed unto him. And the Lord called Samuel again the third time. And he arose and went to Eli and said, Here am I, for thou didst call me. And Eli perceived that the Lord had called the child. Therefore Eli said unto Samuel, Go lie down, and it shall be, if he call thee, that thou shalt say, Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. So Samuel went and lay down in his place. And the Lord came and stood and called as at other times, Samuel, Samuel. Then Samuel answered, Speak, for thy servant heareth. And the Lord said to Samuel, Behold, I will do a thing in Israel, at which both the ears of every one that heareth it shall tingle. They'll be amazed and astonished at what's going to happen. In that day, when I perform this work that I perform against Eli, all things which I have spoken concerning his house, when I begin, I will also make an end. For I have told him that I will judge his house forever for the iniquity which he knoweth. He knows the sin that's going on. Because his sons made themselves vile, and he restrained them not. Eli was not ignorant. He was well aware of what was going on, and he wasn't correcting it. Therefore I have sworn unto the house of Eli that the iniquity of Eli's house shall not be purged with sacrifice nor offering forever. And Samuel lay until the morning and opened the doors of the house of the Lord, and Samuel feared to show Eli the vision. And Eli called Samuel and said, Samuel, my son. And he answered, Here am I. And he said, What is the thing that the Lord has said unto thee? I pray thee, hide it not from me. God do so to thee, and more also, if thou hide anything from me of all the things that he said unto thee. And Samuel told him every whit, and hid nothing from him. And he said, this is what Eli said, It is the Lord. You have heard from the Lord. Let him do what seemeth him good. And Samuel grew, and the Lord was with him, and did let none of his words fall to the ground. And all Israel from Dan even to Beersheba knew that Samuel was established to be a prophet of the Lord. And the Lord appeared again in Shiloh, for the Lord revealed himself to Samuel in Shiloh by the word of the Lord. Chapter 4, verse 1, And the word of Samuel came to all Israel. Now Israel went out against the Philistines to battle, and pitched beside Ebenezer, and the Philistines pitched in Aphek. And the Philistines put themselves in array against Israel, and when they joined battle, Israel was smitten before the Philistines, and they slew of the army in the field about 4,000 men. So Israel's defeated in battle. And when the people were come into the camp, the elders of Israel said, Wherefore, or why has the Lord smitten us today before the Philistines? I know, let us fetch the ark of the covenant of the Lord out of Shiloh unto us, that when it cometh among us, it may save us out of the hand of our enemies. So the people sent to Shiloh, that they might bring from thence the ark of the covenant of the Lord of hosts, which dwelleth between the cherubims. And the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were there with the ark of the covenant of God. All right, I think we're in verse 5. And when the ark of the covenant of the Lord came into the camp, all Israel shouted with a great shout, so that the earth rang again. And when the Philistines heard the noise of the shout, they said, What meaneth the noise of this great shout in the camp of the Hebrews? And they understood that the ark of the Lord was come into the camp. And the Philistines were afraid, for they said, God is come into the camp. And they said, Woe unto us, for there hath not been such a thing heretofore. We've been just fighting Israel. Now they've brought God. We haven't been fighting God yet. Woe unto us, who shall deliver us out of the hand of these mighty gods? These are the gods that smote the Egyptians with all the plagues in the wilderness. Be strong, quit, or act yourselves like men, O you Philistines, that ye be not servants unto the Hebrews. And as they have been to you, act or quit yourselves like men and fight. And the Philistines fought, and Israel was smitten. And they fled every man into his tent, and there was a very great slaughter, for there fell of Israel 30,000 footmen. And the ark of God was taken. And the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were slain. And there ran a man of Benjamin out of the army, and came to Shiloh the same day with his clothes rent, and with the earth upon his head. And when he came, lo, Eli sat upon a seat by the wayside watching, for his heart trembled for the ark of God. And when the man came into the city and told it, all the city cried out. And when Eli heard the noise of the crying, he said, What meaneth the noise of this tumult? And the man came in hastily and told Eli. Now Eli was 98 years old, and his eyes were dim that he could not see. We've already heard that in chapter 3. And the man said unto Eli, I am he that came out of the army, and I fled today out of the army. And he said, What is there done, my son? And the messenger answered and said, Israel is fled before the Philistines, and there hath been also a great slaughter among the people. And thy 2 sons also, Hophni and Phinehas, are dead, and the ark of God is taken. And it came to pass, when he made mention of the ark of God, that he fell from off the seat backward by the side of the gate, and his neck brake, and he died, for he was an old man and heavy. And he had judged Israel 40 years. Verse 19, and his daughter-in-law, Phinehas' wife, was with child, near to be delivered. And when she heard the tidings that the ark of God was taken, and that her father-in-law and her husband were dead, she bowed herself, and travailed, for her pains came upon her. And about the time of her death, the woman that stood by her said unto her, Fear not, for thou hast borne a son. But she regarded not, neither did she, and she answered not, and neither did she regard it. And she named the child Ichabod, saying, The glory is departed from Israel. And that's the meaning of Ichabod. Because the ark of God was taken, and because of her father-in-law and her husband. And she said, The glory is departed from Israel, for the ark of God is taken. Chapter 5. And the Philistines took the ark of God, and brought it from Ebenezer unto Ashdod. Now when the Philistines took the ark of God, they brought it into the house of Dagon, and set it by Dagon. And when they of Ashdod arose early on the morrow, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the earth before the ark of God.
Hello.
They took Dagon. Oh, this is not good. They took Dagon up and set him in his place again. This shouldn't be. And when they arose early on the morning, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the ground before the ark of the Lord. Again. And the head of Dagon and both the palms of his hands were cut off upon the threshold, and only the stump of Dagon was left to him. Verse 5, Therefore neither the priests of Dagon, nor any that come into Dagon's house, tread on the threshold of Dagon in Ashdod unto this day. But the hand of the Lord was heavy upon them of Ashdod, and he destroyed them, and he smote them with emerods, even Ashdod and the coast thereof. And when the men of Ashdod saw that it was so, they said, The ark of the God of Israel shall not abide with us, for his hand is sore upon us and upon Dagon our God. They sent therefore and gathered all the lords of the Philistines unto them, and said, What shall we do with the ark of the God of Israel? And they answered, Let the ark of the God of Israel be carried about unto Gath. And they carried about the ark of the God of Israel about thither to Gath. And it was so that after they had carried it about, the hand of the Lord was against the city with a very great destruction. And he smote the men of the city, both small and great, and they had emerods in their secret parts. Verse 10, Therefore they sent the ark of God to Ekron. What a wonderful thing to do to your neighbors, huh? I mean, let's get this out of here. Let's get it out of here. And it came to pass, as the ark of God came to Ekron, that the Ekronites cried out, saying, They have brought about the ark of the God of Israel to us, to slay us and our people. So they sent and gathered together all the lords of the Philistines, and said, Send away the ark of the God of Israel, and let it go again to his own place. Let it go back to Israel where it belongs, that it slay us not and our people. For there was a deadly destruction throughout all the city, and the hand of God was very heavy there. And the men that died not were smitten with emerods, these tumors, and the cry of the city went up to heaven. Chapter 6. And the ark of the Lord was in the country of the Philistines 7 months. And the Philistines called for the priests and the diviners, saying, What shall we do to the ark of the Lord? Tell us, wherewith we shall send it to his place. And they said, if you send away the ark of the God of Israel, send it not empty, but in any wise return him a trespass offering. Offer an offering to their God along with it. Then you shall be healed, and it shall be known to you why his hand is not removed from you. Verse 4, then said they, what shall be the trespass offering which we shall return to him? They answered, 5 golden emerods, or tumors. I can't imagine what you're making that represents tumors. And 5 golden mice, according to the number of the lords of the Philistines. For one plague was upon you all, and on your lords. Wherefore you shall make images of your emerods, and images of your mice that mar the land, and you shall give glory unto the God of Israel, recognizing that he's the one that brought these things upon you. And peradventure, or perhaps, maybe, he will lighten his hand from off you, and from off your gods, and from off your land. Verse 6, I love verse 6. Wherefore then, why would you harden your hearts as the Egyptians and Pharaoh hardened their hearts? When he had wrought wonderfully among them, did they not let the people go, and they departed? Take therefore, or make a new cart, and take 2 milch kine, as it means milk cows, on which there hath come no yoke, and tie the cows to the cart, and bring their calves home from them, or from the field, bring them with them. And take the ark of the Lord, and lay it upon the cart, and put the jewels of gold, which you return him for a trespass offering, in a coffer by the side thereof, and send it away, that it may go. Verse 9, and see if it goeth up by the way of his own coast to Bethshemesh, then he hath done us this great evil. But if not, if the cows go off someplace else, if they head down to Egypt, we know, hey, this wasn't that God. Then we know that it is not his hand that smote us, but it was a chance that happened to us. And the men did so, and took 2 milk cows, and tied them to the cart, and shut up their calves at home. And they laid the ark of the Lord upon the cart, and the coffer with the mice of gold, and the images of their emerods. And the cow took the straight way to the way of Bethshemesh, or they went directly back to Israel, and went along the highway, lowing as they went, or crying out for their babies. And they turned not aside to the left hand or to the right, and the lords of the Philistines went after them unto the border of Bethshemesh. And they of Bethshemesh were reaping their wheat harvest in the valley, and they lifted up their eyes and saw the ark, and rejoiced to see it. The ark's come back. Verse 14, and the cart came into the field of Joshua, a Bethshemite, and stood there, where there was a great stone. And they clave the wood of the cart, and offered the cow a burnt offering unto the Lord. And the Levites took down the ark of the Lord, and the coffer that was with it, wherein the jewels of gold were, and they put them on the great stone. And the men of Bethshemesh offered burnt offerings and sacrifices the same day unto the Lord. All very good. And when the 5 lords of the Philistines had seen it, they returned to Ekron the same day. And these are the golden emerods. I think I can skip the 17 and 18, just describes the cities of the Philistines that were represented. 19, and he, this is God here, and God smote, or struck, wounded, killed the men of Bethshemesh. Why? Because they had looked into the ark of the Lord. They smote of the people 50,000 70 men. And the people lamented because the Lord had smitten many of the people with a great slaughter. And the men of Bethshemesh said, who is able to stand before this holy Lord God? And to whom shall he go up from us? And they sent messengers to the inhabitants of Kirjath-jearim, saying, The Philistines have brought again the ark of the Lord. Come you down and fetch it up to you.